The galaxy was quiet, but only for a moment. Far away, where stars shone cold and bright, whispers started to travel. These were not ordinary whispers. They were stories, rumors, legends. They spoke of a new power, one that no one had seen before, a power that was growing fast. The name on everyone's lips was simple: humans. No one knew where the humans came from. Some said they were from a small blue planet, full of life and danger. Others said they were a lost species from a forgotten star system. But everyone agreed on one thing: humans were different. Alien ships that once ruled the space lanes now looked with suspicion and fear. The galaxy was full of many species, some old, some young, some peaceful, some cruel. Yet none had made the galaxy stop and listen like the humans did. In the dark corners of space stations, in the busy markets on faraway moons, even in the grand halls of powerful empires, the same question was asked: who are the humans, and why are they coming? The whispers told of humans as warriors. Not like others, humans were said to be tough, fearless, and clever. They could survive where others could not. They could fight when others would run away. Their ships were strange, powerful, fast, and strange to the eyes of other species. One day, on a distant outpost near the edge of the galaxy, a lookout spotted something new. A fleet of ships unlike any before. They moved quickly and quietly. Their shapes were sharp and their engines hummed with energy. It was the human fleet. Word spread fast. The galaxy's leaders gathered in alarm. The news was clear: humans had arrived. Some leaders laughed. They thought humans were weak, unprepared for the galaxy's dangers. Others felt a chill in their bones. The stories they had heard suddenly seemed real. Humans might be a threat. In the council chambers of the Great Galactic Union, ambassadors debated. One said, "Humans are a myth. Their ships cannot be real." Another replied, "Myths don't show up in our space lanes with weapons ready." Outside on a small trading planet, a young pilot named Kira listened to the news. She had heard the stories too, about humans surviving impossible worlds, about their strange customs and unbreakable spirit. She wondered if the humans were friend or enemy. That night, stars shone brightly and the human ships moved closer. The galaxy was watching, waiting. The whispers had turned into voices. The story of humans was no longer just a tale. It was, till suddenly the human fleet sent a message across the stars. It was simple, but it shook the galaxy to its core. "We are here." Silence fell. The future was uncertain. The galaxy was on the edge of change. What would the humans want? War or peace? Friend or foe? No one knew. But one thing was clear: the galaxy would never be the same again. The human warships had arrived, and the galaxy could no longer ignore them. The ships glided through space like silent giants shining under distant stars. Their shapes were strange, unlike anything the other races had ever seen before. Smooth and sleek, yet strong, as if built not just for travel, but for something greater. The fleet moved with purpose, not haste, but steady and sure. On the planet Valora, in a large city that floated in the clouds, a crowd gathered around the large viewing screens. They watched as the human fleet entered the outer orbit of a nearby star system. People whispered in fear and curiosity. The news had spread like wildfire. Humans were not only real, but they were powerful. The stories of their homeworld, a dangerous place full of wild animals and harsh lands, had only made them more mysterious. Among the crowd was a woman named Lyra. She worked as a trader and had seen many strange things in her life. But even she felt a shiver when the human ships appeared on the screen. She had heard the stories about humans, how they survived against all odds, how they never gave up. Now those stories were coming to life. "We should be ready," said a voice behind her. It was Jorik, a soldier from the local defense force. His eyes were fixed on the screen. "They are not here by accident. Something is coming." Lyra turned to him. "What do you mean? What could they want?" Jorik shook his head. "I don't know, but when a new power arrives, it always changes, everything. Far away on the command ship of the human fleet, Captain Mara stood looking at the galaxy map. Her face was calm, but serious. The humans had traveled a long way to get here. Their journey had been difficult, but their mission was clear. They had heard the calls for help from a world far across the stars, a world where danger was growing, where innocent lives were at risk. And now they were here to answer. Mara thought about her crew. Men and women from many places on Earth, each trained for this moment. They were ready to face whatever lay ahead. They were not conquerors. They were helpers, protectors, but they knew that sometimes protection meant showing strength. The human fleet began to move deeper into the star system. Their sensors picked up signs of activity on the planet below. It was a world not unlike Earth, with blue oceans and green lands, but it was under threat. Strange ships moved around its orbit and signals of conflict reached the human ears. Meanwhile, in the Great Galactic Union, leaders gathered once again. This time, their discussion was more urgent. The presence of the human fleet was no longer a distant rumor. It was a reality. Some saw the humans as a threat to their power. Others believed they could be allies. Ambassador Vecron, a tall and wise alien with many years of experience, spoke to the council. We must be cautious. Humans are unknown to us. Their power is great and their motives unclear. We should watch, learn, and prepare. But not everyone agreed. Another voice, sharp and quick, came from the younger delegate, Zoran. We cannot wait. If humans have come to help, we should welcome them. The galaxy has many enemies. Perhaps humans can help bring peace. The debate continued, but no clear answer came. The galaxy was on edge, waiting for the next move. Back on the planet Valora, Lyra and Jorik watched as reports came in. Small groups of humans had landed on the surface. They moved carefully but confidently, making contact with local leaders. The humans spoke in a language many understood, and their message was simple. They had come to help. Some on Valora welcomed the humans with open arms. They hoped these newcomers could protect them from the growing dangers. Others were suspicious, fearing that the humans might bring war instead of peace. Lyra felt a mix of hope and fear. Could these humans really be the heroes the galaxy had been waiting for? Or were they just another powerful race looking to take what they wanted? The humans worked quickly, setting up bases and helping to defend key locations. Their technology was unlike anything seen before. They repaired damaged ships, healed the sick with new medicine, and shared knowledge with local scientists. Slowly, the fear began to change into curiosity and respect. Yet, even with their kindness, the humans kept a careful watch. Their eyes scanned the stars, always alert. Captain Mara knew that help was only the beginning. There were still many dangers in the galaxy. Forces that did not want peace. Forces that might try to stop them. One night, as the moons rose over, Valora Lyra saw a human soldier walking alone. His face was tired but calm. He looked at the stars as if remembering something far away. Lyra wanted to ask him about the humans, about their journey, but she held back. She understood now that this was only the start of a long story. The galaxy was changing, and humans were part of that change. Whether good or bad, no one could say. Yet as the human fleet stood ready, the galaxy held its breath. The story of humans was no longer a whisper. It was a voice. A strong voice that would shape the future, and the stars were listening. The galaxy was still buzzing from the arrival of the humans. Stories about them had traveled faster than light, spreading from star system to star system. But many questions remained. Who exactly were these humans? What made them so strong and different from everyone else? The answer lay hidden in their past and in the heart of their fleet. On the surface of Earth, far across the stars, the human story began. A world full of oceans, mountains, and forests, but also a place where life was not easy. Humans had faced dangers from the start, from wild animals to harsh weather. They learned to survive by being clever, working together, and never giving up. These lessons shaped their spirit. Captain Mara knew this well. As she walked through the corridors, Of the main ship, she often thought about Earth, the stories of her ancestors, the challenges they had overcome. It was this spirit that gave humans their strength, not just machines or weapons, but heart and mind. The crew around her were from many places on Earth. Some came from cold lands where snow covered the ground for months. Others were from deserts, where the sun burned bright. Each had their own story of struggle and hope. Together they made a team stronger than any single part. As the fleet moved deeper into the galaxy, they began to share stories among themselves. Old tales of survival, of battles won not by force but by smart choices and trust. These stories reminded them why they traveled so far, to protect others who could not protect themselves. In one small room, a group of young crew members gathered. They talked quietly about the future and the people they would meet. One of them, a young woman named Tessa, spoke with excitement. "We are more than just fighters," she said. "We are explorers, friends, and helpers. The galaxy does not know us yet, but soon they will." Her friend Derek nodded. "But we must be careful. Not everyone will want to trust us. Some will see us as a threat." Their conversation was interrupted by an alert. The sensors on the ship had picked up unusual activity near a distant planet. It was the same system where the humans had first landed. Captain Mara quickly gathered her officers. "We must investigate," she said. "This could be a sign of trouble or a chance to help." As the ship moved closer, the crew saw signs of change on the planet below. Cities that once looked peaceful now showed signs of strain. People moved with worry, and new machines worked day and night. A local scientist named Dr. Rellan approached the humans. He explained that a strange energy had appeared near the planet's surface. This energy was causing problems. Machines were breaking down, and people felt uneasy. The humans listened carefully. They offered their help and shared knowledge from their own world. Using advanced tools, they began to study the energy, trying to understand its source. Meanwhile, rumors in the galaxy grew louder. Some believed the humans were heroes, ready to save worlds. Others whispered that their arrival was the beginning of something unknown and possibly dangerous. On the planet, the humans worked side by side with locals. They fixed machines, taught new ways to protect the environment, and brought hope to those who had little. One evening, as the sun set behind distant mountains, Captain Mara spoke to the gathered crowd. "We did not come here to conquer," she said. "We came to help, to learn, to build a better future together." The people listened, some with tears, some with smiles. They began to believe that humans were different, not just strong, but kind. But even as peace grew, the humans knew their journey was only beginning. The galaxy was full of mysteries and challenges. Forces beyond their sight watched closely, waiting to see what the humans would do next. Back on the ship, Tessa and Derek prepared for their next mission. They were ready to face whatever came, with courage and heart. The story of humans was no longer just about power. It was about hope, unity, and the promise of a new day for the galaxy. The stars above seemed to shine brighter as the humans moved forward, ready to write the next chapter. The galaxy watched closely as the humans moved deeper into space. Their presence was no longer a secret, and many eyes were on them. The fleet's shining ships had become a symbol of hope for some, and a sign of change for others. Yet the humans themselves remained calm, focused on their mission. Captain Mara stood on the deck of the flagship, gazing out at the stars. Each star was a story, a world with its own life and secrets. She knew the journey ahead was long and full of unknowns, but the humans were ready, not just with machines, but with heart and will. The crew was busy preparing for their next task. Scouts had discovered a distant planet, covered mostly in thick forests and wide rivers. It was a place rich with life, but also full of problems. Strange storms had begun to appear, damaging the land and frightening the people living there. When the humans first sent a message to the planet's leaders, the response was mixed. Some welcomed the help eagerly. Others were unsure, not used to outsiders coming to their world. But the humans understood that trust takes time. One of the first to greet the humans was a young leader named Alan. His people lived in small villages, close to nature, and had little experience with technology. Alan was curious but cautious. He had heard stories of humans, some good, some bad. On the day the humans arrived, Alan met Captain Mara face to face. They talked openly, sharing their hopes and fears. Mara explained their purpose: to help, not to take. She spoke of unity, of learning from each other and facing challenges together. Alan listened carefully. He saw the honesty in her eyes and the kindness in her words. Slowly, he began to believe that humans were different. As days passed, humans and locals worked side by side. They built shelters that could resist the storms. They taught new ways to predict weather and protect crops. Children from the villages were especially excited, watching the humans' machines and learning new skills. Yet, the strange storms were not the only problem. Deep in the forests, ancient ruins held secrets that no one understood. The ruins had long been a place of mystery and legend. Some said they were the home of spirits. Others believed they held powerful energy. One evening, a group of human explorers and local guides ventured into the ruins. They moved carefully, their lights cutting through the dark trees. The air was thick with silence, broken only by soft footsteps and quiet whispers. Suddenly, they found something unexpected: strange symbols carved into stone glowing faintly in the dark. The symbols seemed to pulse with life, as if waiting for someone to unlock their meaning. Captain Mara and her team studied the symbols with wonder. They had never seen anything like this before. The symbols might hold answers to the strange storms, or even more. Back in the villages, news of the discoveries spread quickly. People gathered to hear stories of the explorers and the glowing symbols. Many felt hope. If the humans could help solve these mysteries, maybe the future would be brighter. But not everyone was happy. Far away, in the shadows of space, watchers observed the humans' progress with concern. Some feared that the humans' curiosity and help might change the balance of power. In secret meetings, voices spoke of the humans as unpredictable and strong. "They do not follow the old ways," one whispered. "They bring a new future, one we may not be ready for." Captain Mara knew that the journey was becoming more complex. Helping one world might cause ripples across many others. But she believed in the humans' purpose: to bring hope, understanding, and strength through peace. As the storms raged outside the forests, the humans and locals prepared for what might come next. They were no longer strangers but partners, facing the unknown together. The stars above held many secrets still. But with each step, the humans were writing a new story, one of friendship, courage, and the promise of brighter days. The human fleet continued its journey through the vast reaches of space, carrying hope and curiosity wherever it went. Captain Mara stood quietly on the deck of the flagship, watching distant stars flicker like tiny flames against the dark canvas of the universe. Each star was a new world waiting to be understood, a new story waiting to be told. The latest mission had taken them to a small but important system, where a planet called Eris thrived with life. The planet was covered with rolling hills, vast oceans, and deep forests that stretched farther than anyone had ever mapped. The people of Eris had long lived in harmony with nature, valuing balance and peace above all else. But balance was shifting. Strange events had begun to unsettle the planet. Unusual weather patterns, animals acting strangely, and mysterious lights in the night sky. The Erisians were concerned, unsure of what these changes meant or how to respond. When the humans arrived, they were greeted with cautious eyes. Eris was a proud world with its own traditions, and not everyone trusted outsiders easily. Still, the humans were patient, choosing to listen before speaking, learning the ways of the Erisians instead of imposing their own. Captain Mara met with the planet's council, a group of wise elders who guided their people with careful thought. The elders shared stories passed down through generations about the planet's history and the strange phenomena that now troubled them. One elder, an aged woman named Sela, spoke softly but firmly. Our world has always been protected by the balance of nature. When the balance shifts, the land speaks to us in ways we must learn to understand. Mara nodded, understanding that this was more than just science. It was a connection to something deeper. The humans were not just here to fix problems, they were here to respect and learn. Teams of scientists and explorers worked alongside Arisians to investigate. They studied the weather, the wildlife, and the strange lights that danced above the forests at night. Slowly, a picture began to form, a complex web of natural forces and energies, intertwined with the planet's ancient history. As the humans and Arisians worked together, a sense of trust grew. Children played together, sharing stories and games from their different worlds. The adults exchanged knowledge, finding common ground despite their differences. But the deeper the humans dug into the planet's mysteries, the more questions arose. What was the true source of the strange energy? Was it natural or something else? Could it be linked to the glowing symbols found in the ancient ruins on the neighboring planet? Captain Mara called a meeting with her closest advisors. "We must be careful," she said. "We are uncovering things beyond our understanding. But this is also our chance to learn and to help." Meanwhile, a young scientist named Kian made a discovery that surprised everyone. While analyzing data from the strange lights, he found a pattern, an energy pulse that seemed to communicate, almost like a message. Excitement and wonder filled the human camp. Could the planet itself be trying to speak? Could the ancient symbols and the strange energy be connected in a way no one had imagined? The possibility opened a new path for exploration, one that went beyond machines and technology, reaching into the mysteries of life itself. Back in the galaxy's council chambers, news of the humans' discoveries stirred mixed feelings. Some saw this as a breakthrough that could unite worlds. Others worried that the humans were stepping into realms they did not fully understand. Ambassador Vecron watched closely, his thoughts heavy. "The humans bring change," he said quietly. "Change that may reshape the galaxy. We must watch, but we must also learn." Captain Mara felt the weight of responsibility. The humans had come to help, but their journey was not just about solving problems, it was about building bridges between worlds and hearts. As the stars shone brightly above, the humans prepared for the next step in their mission. They were no longer just visitors, they were part of a greater story, one of hope, discovery, and connection. The galaxy was vast, full of wonders and challenges, but with every new dawn, the humans moved forward, ready to face whatever the future might bring. The stars had always been a source of wonder, but now they felt like a map of destiny for the humans. As their fleet moved further into the depths of space, the story of their journey was reaching more and more worlds. Captain Mara stood on the bridge of the flagship, her eyes tracing the paths of distant lights that seemed to pulse with possibility. This time, the mission was different. The humans were called to a remote star system, where an ancient civilization once flourished but had since disappeared. The planet, known as Varys, was quiet now, covered with ruins and secrets from a time long past. Yet, something stirred beneath the surface, a silent message waiting to be heard. As the fleet entered orbit, scanners picked up faint energy readings coming from deep underground. The locals from nearby systems spoke in hushed tones about legends, tales of a great light that could heal worlds or bring new beginnings. Captain Mara gathered her crew. "We don't just explore to find answers," she said. "We explore to understand, to connect, to build a future." Explorers descended to the surface, stepping carefully among the ruins of towering structures and wide plazas. Strange symbols, much like those found on other worlds, were carved into the stones. The light from the explorers' tools revealed colors and patterns that seemed to shift as if alive. One young scientist, Nia, felt a deep pull towards a central chamber. Inside, she found a crystal-like structure that hummed softly, filling the room with gentle light. The crystal seemed to respond to her presence, glowing brighter with every step she took closer. Back on the ship, Communications with other planets brought news of rising tensions. Some star systems feared the humans' growing influence. They worried that the humans' arrival might upset the old ways, change alliances, or bring unexpected challenges. Despite this, the humans remained focused on their mission, helping, learning, and sharing. Captain Mara often reminded her crew that true strength came from understanding, not from power or control. The crystal on Varus revealed a message, not in words, but in feelings, hope, peace, and a call to unite. The ancient civilization had left this gift for future travelers, a beacon to remind them that cooperation was the key to survival in the vast universe. With this new knowledge, the humans reached out to neighboring systems, offering friendship and support. They shared their stories and listened to the tales of others. Slowly, a new network of trust began to form across the stars. In quiet moments, Captain Mara reflected on their journey. The galaxy was changing, and humans were part of that change, not as conquerors but as helpers and friends. Their warships were symbols not of battle, but of protection and hope. The crew felt this too. They knew that every world they touched, every life they met, added a new thread to the story they were weaving, a story of unity, courage, and the endless search for light in the darkness. As the fleet set course for new horizons, the stars above seemed to shine a little brighter, welcoming the humans into the great tapestry of the galaxy. Their journey was far from over. Many mysteries still waited to be uncovered. But with every step, the humans grew stronger, not just in technology, but in heart. The galaxy had spoken of human legends, and now those legends were becoming reality.